The squirrel's store of food has been stolen. He's wandering around the branches. Has the food disappeared from its hole? Incredulous, he looks around his house. How could his hidden food be gone? He can't believe it. I wonder what kind of thief stole the squirrel's winter food. The squirrel searched the tree again and again. He was so upset, he almost cried on the branch. In this cold weather, without this stored food, he can't survive without this food. The squirrel was very sad. He stayed motionless for a long time. Soon he returned to his hole. The poor squirrel covered his hands and stared at the empty house, as if praying for a miracle. The squirrel shivered in the cold wind, but he still crouched there like a statue. As the snow fell on his body, the squirrel's heart was filled with despair. Looking at the squirrel's lost soul, the boy decided to help the poor little guy. He bought some nuts. When he saw the food in the boy's hand, the squirrel came running. His little ears were covered in frost. They looked like pigtails. They looked so cute. The squirrel was so happy. As it ate, it pushed food into its mouth. He's afraid it'll be gone. It's still a long time before spring arrives. This food won't help him survive the winter. Since then, the boy brought food every few days. After the last theft, the squirrel has learned a lesson. To prevent the food from being stolen again, he hid the boy's food in the snow. The little one digs a hole in the snow and hides the nuts tightly, one nut at a time. I'm really worried he won't be able to find it later, but the little one seems to know. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. He hid some of the nuts in the snow, and some in a hole in the tree, to prevent others from stealing them. It's constantly moving branches into the hole. It looks like it's building a storeroom. It's a big job, though. The squirrel is determined. He goes back and forth. Every time the boy comes by, the little guy's hard at work. As time goes by, and a friendship was formed between them. Whenever he saw the boy, the squirrels would wag their little tails in delight, and run over to enjoy a tasty meal. With the boy's support, he had an endless supply of nuts. Maybe this was the happiest winter he'd ever had. As time went on, they became more and more in tune with each other. Whenever the boy called, the squirrel would run to the boy. He knows he's brought him goodies again, and the little guy is not shy. He takes the food from the boy's hand, and left in a hurry. The squirrel takes one look at the boy, as if to tell him not to leave. I'll be back when I've hidden the food. In a few moments, the squirrel came back with a bounce in his step. So it turns out, every time the boy brought him food, the squirrel would hide some of it. Generally speaking, squirrels are timid. They don't approach humans easily, but the squirrels are taking the food. He's completely off guard, and before you know it, it's getting warmer. With the boy's help, he survived the long winter. Every time the boy went up the mountain, the squirrels would come scurrying towards him. The little guy and the boy's captain welcomed him. Then he'd circle the boy with joy. This time the boy brought him something to eat. The squirrel is getting bolder and bolder. He even goes into his backpack to look for food. He's a repeat offender, judging by his skill. But he's still in the same habit as before. He always stores some of the food first. I guess it's a lesson from the last time he was robbed. As the weather warms up, the squirrel will have to find his own food, so that he can survive the next winter. Sometimes the bond between animals is so pure. Even between species they can still feel the goodness of each other. Who stole the squirrel's home?